Hey everyone, it's me, Buster Green, and the 2024 anime season is off to a good start right now. About every anime on TV right now has about 2 or 3 episodes if you've been paying attention. And I normally don't do overarching videos like this, but screw it, I got nothing else going on. And at this point, I've watched or am aware of about half of these shows, so here goes nothing. I'm going to go over every single show that came out this year, and I'm going to do these in semi-order of best to worst. Or rather, worst to best, I guess, and also worst channel to best channel. I'm also going to omit any show that is just a season 2 or a 3, with the exception made for shows that got a season 2 or 3 after a period of over 5 years, which is shocking and surprising to me.
Rise from your grave.
Alright, so first off, let's go over Disney Plus / Hulu. There's not a ton there. They have Ishura, a show about demigods taking over the world after a demon king dies. I got no hype for this show. The poster looks a lot like a Kame ga Kill, but yeah, otherwise, this one's not on my radar. The next and only other new show Hulu has is Sensuality Noir. I guess this is the best show they got, though. Is this based on a video game? Anyway, this is apparently made by Bandai Namco, and it has a light sort of Gundam look to it. It's got some mechs, it got some teenagers, it's got a masked Char-looking villain, and I might give this one a shot because I've actually heard some good things about the main character's girlfriend being pretty interesting. And yeah, there's enough positivity behind this one that I'm open to it, and I will definitely put it in the probably pile. Oh, I'm also going to loosely mention Dragons of Wonder Hatch, a live-action tokusatsu / isekai anime hybrid show. I'm not sure if the show is any good, but it's kind of an ambitious idea, and Disney Japan is paying for it, so it might be okay. Anyway, maybe I'll check this out if I got time. So yeah, that's it for Hulu. Hulu is already done. Hulu is very slim pickings. By the way, speaking of Hulu, I will mention Heavenly Delusion or Tengoku Daimakyo from last year. That is literally the best anime on Hulu right now, so if you have Hulu, that's the show you absolutely shouldn't sleep on. I really, really want that show to get a second season because it ended without getting really through much of its plot, and I kind of loved all the characters. So yeah, if you have Hulu, watch Tengoku Daimakyo. That's still the best thing they got. All right, next channel is High Dive, and High Dive, I gotta say, also slim pickings, which is kind of sad because High Dive is actually an anime-only channel, and for an anime-only channel, they don't got much new anime on it. Anyway, I think High Dive is kind of in a state of failing right now, and their future is a little bit sketchy right now. Anyway, as far as High Dive is concerned, the only show that I really want to see on High Dive is season 2 of the Urusei Yatsura reboot, which I've been watching. And honestly, at this point, it's feeling less like a reboot and more like just a season 20 of the original show, with a few extra steps added to introduce some of the later characters much earlier in the show and get back to the status quo that the old show was at when it ended. And honestly, yeah, if you didn't see the season 1 of the reboot, season 2 is just a vibe of another season of the original show. But that's okay with me, and I kind of appreciate that. Also, the season premiere had a pretty fun Inuyasha Easter egg, which I noticed. Alright, so what else does High Dive have, I now have to ask. Well, there's Chain Soldier. Just judging this by the poster, it looks like a very horny battle harem anime with, like, maybe slavery? Sex slaves? Got me? I don't know. And after that is My Instant Death Ability is Overpowered. This looks kind of like a girls' comedy show, but I like that there's some death magic in there, and that actually makes it look kind of spicy, so maybe this one's alright. I would probably put this in the maybe category because it shows a little bit of potential. And next one is Gushing Over Magic Girls, a show where a shy magical girl fangirl is randomly transformed into a sadistic evil villain who tortures magical girls. Okay, that's another one definitely for the maybe pile, because this could either be just bad or maybe fantastic. I don't know if I'll actually watch it, but the premise is weird enough. And the rating score on the show is shockingly high, so maybe it's actually good. Or maybe just no one's watching it and the one person who did liked it. Alright, so that's it for High Dive. There's really not that much new stuff on High Dive, and all the shows on High Dive are focused on sexy girls. That kind of seems like a pattern for High Dive. Alright, let's move on to Netflix. So Netflix, also not much. So Netflix, they got Maboroshi. I did a full review of Maboroshi a few days ago. I liked this movie. I thought it was cool. I thought it was unusual, but 99% of the world seems to hate this movie. I will say it misleads the audience a lot. And even though it's focused on a romance story, the main leads aren't that romantic. Anyway, if you want to know more about this one, I did a full review of it and it's pretty nuts. Moving on is Monsters 103 Mercy's Dragon Damnation. I had a really hard time saying those words because those words were not a sentence. That was just a random string of words. So this one gets my worst title of 2024 award. And yeah, this is just a simple dragon versus samurai story with a little bit of a One Piece art style going on. I'm not sure if I'll actually watch this one. It looks not very well polished. Although it reminds me that I still haven't watched Blue-Eyed Samurai on Netflix, which kind of ranks a lot higher to me in terms of samurai shows I want to watch. Next up, rounding out the Netflix camp is Delicious in Dungeon, which I really will just want to call Delicious Dungeon because it's easier to say in English. So this is Studio Trigger's new anime, and it's the first fantasy show since Little Witch Academia. So I've seen the show. This show honestly rules. Like, I might give this one an award as best show of 2024, just based on the fact that so far each episode has been flawless, just straight out perfect. Like, it's kind of an RPG cooking show about a bunch of broke adventurers who are lost in this dungeon, and they decide that since they have no money, they're going to eat the dungeon animals, and it's kind of hilarious. The cast is all like super cool people. They're quirky, but they're fun and they're friendly, and the comedy here is just perfect. I also find the main character's weird goal of eating as many different animals as possible super relatable, because that was like my goal when I was like a 5th grader, and yeah, that's funny. So I'm liking this show. It's making me laugh. It's making me happy. It's a good show. By the way, Netflix is also still pushing out a ton of live action animes, just fierce as ever. And that's a topic for another day, but that's still a thing if you subscribe to Netflix. All right, and that finally brings us to Crunchyroll, the big dog, the big enchilada. And Crunchyroll honestly has so many new anime that I actually don't have time, effort, or attention span to go over them all. Crunchyroll got literally the lion's share of the new anime with a whopping 34 new series, and there's so many of these that I'm not going to have time to go over them all. So here's a couple of highlights. First of all, there's a few shocking revivals.
Rise from your grave.
And this is the only time I'm going to talk about animes that suddenly got new seasons. So first off, there is a brand new 3rd and/or 4th season of Blue Exorcist, and that completely shocked me because I thought that anime was done like a decade ago. I thought the ending to the anime was good, so I'm kind of shocked they revived it. But apparently after the anime ended, the manga was still going, and it's still going to this day. And because there was so much extra manga, they made more anime. Now, I might check this out because I did like this show like 10 years ago, and I don't know, I'm just kind of surprised it's back. I didn't ever expect to see it again. Speaking of shocking sequels, does anyone remember the not good Tenchi Muyo spinoff, Tenchi Muyo GXP? It came out in 2002, and suddenly they pivoted from the usual Tenchi cast to a story about Tenchi's cousin, who was also named Kenshi and had his own completely different harem of alien women. Well, if you liked that show in 2002, out of nowhere, 22 years later, it got a 2nd season. What the bloody hell? Wow, I never in a million years thought this would get a 2nd season 22 years later. I think I would have rather had a new season of Tenchi in Tokyo 22 years later, but this is what we got, and here we are. This is reality. There's more of this, I guess. All right, so back to new shows. Let's talk about Metallic Rouge. Now, I really hate to say it, you guys, but 2 episodes in, the show kind of isn't doing it for me. Now, I liked the first episode a lot. I love Bones' animation work. I think they're the best. I like the weird throwback 1990s pop R&B soundtrack. That's pretty cool too. I love that the story is essentially doing Blade Runner mixed with Total Recall, mixed with Mega Man X. It's the Reploid story. It's the 8 robot masters. They're fighting in this world where robots are slaves, and their blood can be turned into drugs and sold by gangsters. So it's got a little bit of that Batman vibe in there too. It's got a bunch of crazy crap I love, but so far it's just not meshing and I'm not digging it. Also, the second episode sucked. The second episode was just filler crap. It was just like them stuck on a bus in a desert. It was Desert Bus. I don't know. It totally sucked. So I don't know. I'm going to keep watching Metallic because I think the show has possibly the most potential of any anime this season. And I love the general premise that it's like a Mega Man ripoff show. But I don't know. I'm hoping if they can keep up the hard-boiled Batman gangster chaos that the first episode had, this show might be great. So far, the show is about Rouge, a cutie patootie girl, and her girlfriend, the glasses girl. And Rouge is a secret robot master, and they have to defeat the 8 evil robot masters, and it's Mega Man. Anyway, they defeated one of them in the first episode, and they also revealed that her villain is literally the Joker from Batman, but as a robot master. That's kind of cool. Anyway, I'm really hoping this one gets better, but so far the first episode was okay and the second episode was bad. So I'm just hoping this show gets better because I've got high hopes for it. Next up is Burn the Witch. There is some massive hype around this. The manga was really popular. It's set in London. It looks pretty slick. I might definitely check this one out. After that is Mr. Villain's Day Off, a show about a tokusatsu villain who has a super chill home life. This looks like it could be funny. Sasaki and Peeps. This is an isekai anime about a middle-aged office man and his parakeet. There's way too many isekai anime, and this looks like it's the bottom of the barrel. Speaking of isekai, there's Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic about some guy who gets isekai'd, and then he uses healing magic to make himself a super strong beast. Okay, this one has good ratings, so maybe it does something clever. Looks okay. Hokkaido Girls Are Adorable. This just looks like softcore porn sponsored by the state government of Hokkaido. Then we have Time for Torture Princess. Oh god. Now speaking of porn, this is apparently an anime about a Princess Peach sort of girl who gets imprisoned by a demon, and then I guess it turns into a force-feeding porno? Maybe? I don't know. Is it like one of those porno where like a big fat lady eats a bucket of KFC and maybe not, she gets naked? Anyway, that seems to be the whole premise if you're into that, but I don't know. Actually, there's a really hot debate around this show. Some people think the show is great, some people think it's wholesome, and some people think it's just like a show about eating. So maybe this is kind of like a perspective thing, but this show might actually end up in my maybe pile because I'm surprisingly finding out that a lot of people have a lot of weird hot takes on this one, and now I'm curious. All right, moving on. Snack Basu, a cheaply produced slice of life anime about a bunch of people in a small town getting drunk and telling jokes. Maybe. Witch and the Beast. This is from Kodansha. This has a gothic horror mystery vibe. So that's a definite maybe from me because those are always good. And those are all the major ones, but we're going to talk about the last minute entry on this list, which is Bang Braven. So this was not on Crunchyroll until yesterday. No one had licensed this show, at least at first, but Crunchyroll picked it up because the online hype around this one is huge. This show is so great. The show is so surreal. It's very absurd, and it's our first super robot show in like almost a decade. On top of that, it's kind of like a self-aware super robot show, so it's a little bit above the norm for your average robot show. It's about a boring Japanese pilot named Asami who gets chosen by this flamboyant and fun space robot named Brave Bravern to become a new super robot legend and save Hawaii from aliens. Now, there's so much good shit here, like the fact like when it plays the theme song, all the characters can hear it. And it's got Masami Obari on his crew, and he's like the GOAT. I think it's also the first major anime he's worked on since Gravion and like a few Gundam shows. And it's also the first Brave super robot show since Gao Gaigar, unless it's not actually directly related to Gao Gaigar, and it just also coincidentally happens to have the word Brave in its title. Anyway, this show is melting people's brains, and I'm super excited to see where it goes. This show is right now my second favorite show behind Delicious Dungeon. Technically, it might surpass it, but it might also fail and like crash and burn, which happened to a few shows I watched last year too. I feel like the way it stands, I feel like Delicious Dungeon probably can't go wrong and will probably be the best overall show of the year, but Bravern could surpass it or it could crash and burn. So I'll be interested to see where Bravern ends up going. All right, so those are all the anime coming out this year. I did skip a few that just didn't feel like they were even worth mentioning. So let me know if I skipped anything that you might be into. Let me know if I didn't mention your favorite show, and let me know if you think any of these shows are going to be great and what you're excited for, because that's what I'm excited for. And let me know if you feel the same. All right, I'll try to be around a little bit more this week because I've got a lot going on. And surprisingly, having a lot going on makes me better at YouTube. Go figure. All right, see you guys later. Good night.